This is the performance of the medium-sized cryptocurrencies today, and MYX is absolutely crushing it. The question is why? Who is buying here? Who is selling here? What are the kind of news? Does it still make sense to buy MYX? Let's have a look at the data most people are not considering. Let's dive into the on-chain data as well. Now this is the performance today, but this week MYX Finance has more than 10x'd. So something seems to be going on. Obviously people are buying MYX very quickly. Let's have a look at the project first. There's no clear fundamental news, there's simply just high trading volume. Yes, there was the introduction of a staking system, but that has been announced months ago. MYX is a decentralized perpetual futures exchange. So similar to Hyperliquid, one can bet with leverage on various cryptocurrencies without buying the cryptocurrencies directly, without buying them on the spot market. They're simply just bets on the price. It's player versus player. The app is on the Binance Smart Chain and various assets can already be traded. The pump token, for example, can be bought with a leverage of up to 50x. That's much more than what Hyperliquid, for example, is offering. Still, despite that offer, the usage of the platform is not really high. What we see over here is the total value locked. So how much capital is currently on the MYX platform? And while this did go up this year, we saw a peak in May at around 45 million. Now we are only at 25 million. Compare this with Hyperliquid that launched its own chain and that takes money mainly through the Arbitrum bridge. Over here, the total value locked is constantly going up and is now at 4.5 billion. It's more than 2 orders of magnitude larger than MYX Finance. There's also a potential issue with financing, as in the project has raised in several rounds a lot of money from venture capitalists, but the question is, when can those VCs cash out? When do they get token allocations? It's not publicly stated. Still, a parabolic rally like this, of course, creates a lot of attention. And because of that, we have seen more than 6,000 wallets interacting with the token in the last 24 hours. We saw way more sellers than buyers, but the buyers tend to just move much more capital than the sellers do. There are now 20,400 holders on chain, but it doesn't look like the number of holders is increasing over time. On the left side, we see the number of retail investors. On the right side, we see the number of whale investors. We make this distinction using minimum holding thresholds. So how many tokens are held in a particular wallet? Since the price of MYX is currently slightly above $1, we can approximate this. On the left side, it's 1,000 tokens, so roughly $1,000. In the middle, it's 10,000 tokens or $10,000, and on the right, it's 100,000 tokens. Now, we don't really see long-term accumulation by any of those wallet cohorts, rather the opposite. But we do see how in the last 2 days, a lot of new users, a lot of new wallets suddenly started interacting with the token again. The fundamental question really is, where does all of that demand come from? It doesn't seem to come directly from the spot market on chain, right? Otherwise you would see the number of holders going up. On the spot market, we have seen 63 million worth of trading volume in the last 24 hours. But on the perpetual futures market, we have seen 8.6 billion with a B worth of trading volume in the last 24 hours. This is really where the price discovery currently happens. Just have a look at the funding rate of MYX. It's currently extremely negative. So a lot of people on the perpetual futures, on the bets on the price, are currently betting on falling prices. The shorts have to pay the longs in order to bet on falling prices. The open interest has also spiked massively. So there are more and more bets on the price. So people jump on this opportunity to bet on falling prices. And because there is this overhang of more and more people betting on falling prices, the market makers have the incentive to buy up the token more and more. First of all, because of the funding rate, but also secondly, as more of the token is getting purchased, the price is going up and potentially force liquidates those shorts. So this is a classical situation of a short squeeze. The trading volume on the perpetual futures is sky high and the shorts are getting liquidated left and right. And the shorts do have a reason to be bearish, right? The usage of the platform is very low. There's no fundamental reason for the price to be that high. But it's very dangerous to bet on falling prices when the market makers that have very deep pockets get incentivized to buy up more and more of the token. It is true that at some point the price will deflate again. We will see the price coming back down to reality. The question though is when. I think the turnaround will be once most shorts have already been liquidated, when the price has risen to a degree that in the end the funding rate isn't that negative anymore. Once we are very high in the price, but the funding rate is somewhat balanced, then the shorts have already been liquidated, and at that point it might make sense to bet on falling prices. So it's important to watch the funding rate closely and potentially not enter as long as it's extremely negative. Because when the funding rate is negative, the shorts continue to get liquidated, because negative funding rates means that betting on falling prices is a very popular trade. And we always want to do the opposite of what the masses are doing, right? We don't want to go with whatever is currently popular. And so here's MYX relative to BNB. Some people might have already bet on falling prices over here and then got squeezed out. Then another wave of short sellers came here. They got squeezed out. And so the question really is, at what point in time are we going to see the deflation? I'm simply just waiting for a while. I'm waiting until this whole situation becomes boring again. When nobody has their eyes on MYX anymore. When it maybe went sideways for a while, potentially starts to go down a little bit, that's when I want to enter a short. The funding rates at that point in time are likely going to be not too negative. The trading volume, which currently is very high, will also be back down to regular levels. And that's then where we can make real money with the subsequent decline, when this whole manipulation game is moving to the next token and is leaving MYX. Now, I'm trying to approach this channel here slightly differently to other crypto YouTubers. Most crypto YouTubers, they take money from other crypto projects, or maybe they buy into a small crypto project. They have some vested interest and then afterwards promote it on the channel, and then potentially with all of that additional interest, which pushes up the price, they then dump on the following. I never do this. I never promote any individual cryptocurrency that I previously bought. I also never take any money from any crypto project. I try to be as neutral as possible. I try to have no conflict of interest here. Most other channels also don't show their trading history, as in how successful are they. And they're also not willing to share the trades in real time, maybe allow for copy trading. But I'm willing to do this. This is my personal return, so that's the black line, relative to if I had just dollar cost averaged into Bitcoin. That's the light gray line. This is a monthly chart, so this is roughly 4 years of data, a bit less than that. And this outperformance here comes from relative valuation bets, right? We talked about this several times on the channel. Most altcoins tend to do worse than Bitcoin most of the time. And we can make money from that, right? From all of that token inflation. When the insiders dump on the retail investor, when the KOLs dump on the retail investor, when the early venture capitalists, when they get their token allocation and then dump on the retail investor, then there's actually a chance to make money from that by betting on the altcoins to do worse compared to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. Because Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana doesn't have that much token inflation. All those smaller, crappy altcoins do. And so long term, they tend to just do worse. And so I made a lot of that outperformance with borrowing and lending platforms. So I borrowed a bad altcoin and then swapped it into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. That's how I made this delta. I then moved over the strategy to perpetual futures. I did this for 2.5 months. And that worked out even better. I did this with some experimental money, 40K, and it returned almost 50% over those 2.5 months. Of course, there's some volatility in this, but still 50%. And so as I did this and as I shared my trades in real time with the premium members, I got more and more requests. Can't I just open a capital pool? I deposit to that pool and you do the trading for me. And I finally just started that. So this is now 6 days ago. We started the copy trading vault. It's already up 3.5%, but of course we don't know how this develops long term. We are now moving more capital, but I'm offering this to the annual subscribers of premium. So there's a dedicated tutorial how to deposit to the Bitcoin strategy copy trading vault. That's on the platform called Hyperliquid. It's an 18-minute video. It explains everything step by step. And then you don't have to follow the individual trades that I share, but instead you just get the exact same performance that I get. Both the gains, but also potentially the hard times. Nobody knows how this is going long term. It worked very well with borrowing and lending platforms. It worked very well on my first test initially. And I'm working hard that it will continue to work as I'm trading with your capital. But yeah, you can still execute the trades yourself. I'm still sharing this all in real time in Premium. You can also discuss potential opportunities with the community. Right here are some example trades. But the active approach is for people that don't have as much capital, but that do have some time. So that's for the monthly membership. That's currently at $125 per month. If you don't have the time, then you can simply subscribe for the yearly membership. Then I will send you all the information how to enter the copy trading. And that's for people that have more capital, but of course less time. The yearly membership, by the way, also saves some money, $250 per year. So you're only paying for 10 out of 12 months. If it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish these regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time on YouTube or see you in Premium. Cheers.